Yeah, great to get a win. You know, one of our goals was to win the opener. We hadn't done that around here since 2019, and so got that done. You know, we're always going to celebrate wins. They're not easy to come by. So a lot of things I'm really proud of. You know, I thought the game probably, you know, what we talked about before the game was don't have any expectations about how the game's going to go. And, you know, couldn't have started off worse. You know, defensively we had 3 major busts in the first drive. I think just jitters, some communication issues, and then go 3 and out on offense. But I was really pleased. You know, one thing we talk about is just having a 1-0 mindset around here and playing the next play. Every play has a life of its own, and I thought our guys did that in the first half, and the way they bounced back, the way they finished the half. Was pleased to see that. And I thought, you know, in the third quarter there was a point there where I felt like we were playing a little bit like the game was over. Instead of having that 1-0 mentality that we talk about and just playing to our standard, you know, regardless of the scoreboard. So a little disappointed in that. A lot of good things on film, and a lot of things that need to get cleaned up. And I thought we were really sloppy at times. I think don't feel like we played to our standard, quite our standard on defense throughout the entirety of the game. And we got to make sure. I think people have been telling us how good we're going to be on defense, and we can't choke on that sugar. But a lot of good things out there, a lot to build off of. Really love this football team. And, you know, we got a ways to go. And they're the type of football team that's going to take all this feedback and learn from it and get better moving forward. And we're certainly going to have to be better moving forward with Temple coming in here next weekend to get what we need to get done.
Bill Wagner from the Baltimore Sun and the Capital newspaper. I think the entire Navy fan base was eager to see what this wing team offense was all about. It showed great potential. 437 yards is the most in quite a while. 3 touchdown passes, showed some things in the pass game. Can you just talk about the offense and what you saw here on?
Yeah, I think, you know, there was a lot that I was pleased with. I think you saw the balance that we're trying to seek offensively. Some good things running the football. I think Blake did some nice things throwing the ball as well. There's some throws that I know he'd like to get back. We had a couple of drop balls, 2 on the same drive. Would have been first downs, and tipped one up, got picked off. But a lot of good things. I'm really encouraged. You know, first game to score 49 points and have that kind of production. I'm pleased. But there's a lot to get better at for sure, and our guys know that. And so, but pleased with the way Blake played. Thought he ran the offense. Thought he managed things well. It's good to get Braxton in there. You know, I feel good about both those guys, and they're both going to help us win football games. And you know, we just got to continue to get better. But first time out, you know, there's some things that were sloppy, things we got to clean up. I think we had 4 penalties on offense. We just had the 1 illegal procedure there toward the end of the game. There's a questionable chop block. 1 was a legitimate chop block, and then kind of a questionable hold. But jumping off sides on defense was disappointing. I think it happened 3 times, and you guys know we can't have those pre-snap penalties here. We talk about it all the time, and those are things that when we get into tight games are going to kill us. So we got to get it cleaned up. Right? There's no doubt about that. But really pleased with the offense. That being said, there's a lot of room for growth and improvement for sure.
Hey, Coach. Noah Ferguson, Washington Post. Coach Cronick brought up when you first came in the ability to adapt in this new offensive system, being able to adapt from the beginning of the game going into the second quarter or second half, things like that. Did you see the team adapt after the first drive, 3 and out, to you know, coming up and putting up the amount of points that you guys did from the beginning to into the second quarter, into the second half? Yeah,
certainly. You know, the thing that I love about Drew is I think he's an excellent play caller. I think he sees things very well. I think he knows how to adjust. They had a different plan defensively than we practiced for the last 2 weeks. And so we were scrambling there a little bit, trying to figure things out. But I thought we did that, did a nice job. And but, you know, I think he's an excellent play caller. You know, I think it's a system. You know, one thing complements another, and these guys going to have answers, you know, for what we're seeing. So I was really pleased with how he managed the game, how he called it.
John from with Annapolis. Yeah, 2 of your quarterbacks saw game time today. What did you learn from it?
We had 3 guys get in there, actually. Yeah. Trey Jones got in there toward the end. Yeah, the plan was to get Braxton in there at some point, and I thought Blake was playing pretty well, and then he cramped up a little bit there, and so we got Braxton in. Thought Braxton did some good things. Had a couple passes that got dropped. Had a missed throw on one of them, but I thought he ran the offense smoothly. Got us in and out of the huddle, got us in the right plays, and But both of those guys are both really, really talented. Both of them can throw the football. They can both run, and they're just going to continue to get better and better. I mean, they're both, Braxton, for all intents and purposes, is kind of a redshirt freshman. Blake's played, before this 5 games in his entire career. So I think you're going to see those guys just get better and better as the season goes on.
Can you talk about the weapon that Eli Heidenreich is?
Oh,
He
yeah.
had a spectacular game. He had a punt return that set up a touchdown. He had a couple nice touchdowns on runs.
Yeah.
A lot of yards after the catch on passing.
Yeah, he's a guy that we got to get the ball to more. We got to find ways to do it. On the touchdown run he had, I said, Drew, let's get the ball at 22, and he figured out a way to do it and made some exceptional plays. He's a really good football player, and when the ball gets in his hands, good things tend to happen. And I thought 24 is a heck of a player too. The screen before the half, the run he made, he's 175 pounds and fights and claws for every inch that he gets. But those two guys are playmakers, and we got a bunch of them. And there's not enough balls to maybe go around, but we got to make sure that 22 and 24 get a lot of touches.
So going back to the wing tee, I mean, we saw today the variety that's in this package, and I'm sure we have not yet to see even a glimpse of all of what's there, but pass plays, tight ends catching passes on drag routes, screen passes, a jet sweep went for a nice first down. Can you just talk about, you've got to love all of what's in this package?
Yeah, I thought it was a good variety of things today. I think going to the game, we didn't want to overwhelm them with too large of a call sheet, but it was a healthy menu. There's still a lot out there, and I know Coach Cronek's a really smart football coach, and we're going to have wrinkles, for people every week, based on what we're seeing them do defensively, and you got to look at the things you're doing well, what complements those things that that people are going to try to attack, and so yeah, I mean it's an offense that keeps you off balance, as you guys saw today. We got the quarterback out of the pocket quite a bit on some boots and some sprints, some play action there, some screen game. Some triple option in there, some power run game. So it's a good variety of things, right? And we'll continue to get better at those.
Tyson Pat from Annapolis here. Coach, I would say you guys had a pretty impressive run game. You got 273 yards on the ground with 53 carries, averaging like 5 yards a carry. So how do you say you plan to implement the run game with the pass game in your future games against Temple and Notre Dame down the road?
Yeah, well, the formula here is we have to be able to run the football, and that's what we need to do primarily. And all the pass game stuff is complement to what we do in the run game. But we'll throw as much as we need to win games. And that could be 10 times, that could be 25 times. You just never know. You got to take what people give you nowadays, offensively. But yeah, I was pleased with some of the things we did in the run game. I think there's a lot more meat on the bone in that regard, things we got to clean up. And I know there's some missed assignments in there, and some missed leverage blocks, things like that we just got to go get better at.
Were you pleased with the way the defense buckled down after giving up kind of that surprising touchdown drive to start the game?
I was, yeah.
They got 68 yards on that drive, but then they were held to 69 yards for like the next 4 or 5 possessions.
Next 7 possessions.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the defense kind of
Thanks, Wags.
tightened up.
Yeah, they did, and like I said, I love the way they responded right there, because the first drive was a disaster, not the way we expected to open up the game. And it's a veteran group that has a lot of trust in each other and a lot of confidence, and so it's good to see them respond that way. They knew that was uncharacteristic, and what I loved is that they didn't flinch. They kept playing and didn't hang their heads and question what we're doing or anything like that. We just worked it out on the sideline, and it was miscommunication stuff, which is critical in the back end, and so we got it figured out, and I love the way they responded. I thought there was a little bit of a lull, like I said, in the third quarter, and we had some of our 2s and 3s in there on that last drive. I'd love to have gotten a stop right there. I was a little disappointed in that, because our approach is if you're on the field, you're a starter, and wish we would have battled a little bit better there at the end.
We talked all preseason about Jaxson Campbell, and last year he didn't take advantage of an opportunity he was given, but this year he's been having a great preseason. He comes out today, 10 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss. I think he was involved with 2 big third down stops. Can you talk about the way he played today with, I think Strauss just said he had 1 tackle, career tackle coming in
Right,
tonight.
Well, he played the way that I hoped and expected that he would, and I know he'll tell you he's got a lot of things he can do better. I know that, but really excited about him. I told you guys that before the game, based on what I've seen, spring ball and fall camp and all those kind of things. And as you guys know, that's that's a critical position for us. The guy needs to be really productive, and typically when that guy is productive, we're humming pretty good on defense. So really pleased with Jaxson, and looking forward to watching the film and diving into watching a little bit more and evaluating the rest of those guys.
I mean, it's kind of a perfect thing for coaching staff because you had the win, but there's a lot to clean up. You mentioned, you know, you didn't expect that wing T there would be chop block penalties because that's a triple option thing. And then the offsides on defense you mentioned just can't happen. You're giving them first downs.
Right. Well, I think, you know, there some things that we do in a run game where we're scooping on the backside of things is similar to the option, you know. And I thought I saw the one chop block was on a pass play where all our guys were cutting, and so it wasn't a high low, it was a double low, and the referee admitted that he thinks maybe he missed it, but there was another one that was pretty legit, so we got to do a better job with that. But yeah, you look at the penalties. I think we had 7 for 55, 4 on offense, 3 on defense. I think they were all false starts on defense. We got to get it cleaned up. And that's going to kill us moving forward in tight games, and we know that.
Anything else for Coach?
Defensively, you guys had 4 sacks today with negative 22 yards. How do you feel like you're going to build on this pressure to kind of pressure the quarterbacks in the pocket?
Yeah, well, we got to do a better job on our points on the quarterback. You know, there's a bunch of them that we missed today. And tell you what, hats off to Bucknell. I didn't say that at the beginning of this. I thought they had a really good offensive plan coming in, especially early on in the game. They were all over the place, shifting and formations and things like that. Kept us off balance, forced us to communicate. It's part of the reason why we screwed up in that first drive. Might cut off. Good. I got off track with the question. Talking about the defensive sacks. I'm sorry. Yeah. We pressured the quarterback well today. I think we hit him a bunch. Probably should have sacked him a few more times, but he's a really good player. That's where I was going with this. He's a quarterback that can play in our league. There's no doubt about it. They're big, physical up front on the offensive line. I think it's offensively they're going to score points in that Patriot League, and they're going to win some games. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, we got pressure. We got to do a better job of containing the quarterback, keeping him in the pocket.
Well, Blake, why don't you give us the assessment of the offense? I mean, 467 yards, it's the most in quite a while, a lot of points, but yet at the same time probably left a lot there on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could sum it up with just saying 49 points, but at the same time, like, you know, I think the biggest thing we talked about in the offseason was getting the offense installed with the new system, but then, like, we got to start making plays, and within that, it's just a college football player. I think is the biggest thing is sometimes plays are going to break down, and you got to make guys miss. You got to make a good catch, and like Chat's run. I mean, you can't describe a playmaker better than that. But I think overall that it was, like you said, we left some things out there. We were shooting ourselves in the foot with some penalties and some missed blocks here and there. But overall, 400 yards, 49 points. Can't ask for much more.
Hey guys. In terms of the installation process with a new office, especially one with a lot of details like the one you guys have implemented with a lot of motions and a lot of movements, how was the implementation process of the new system that your offense has been going through, and how do you think that you guys performed today?
I'll take it. The biggest thing, so within any offense, you sort of start very, very broadly, with your base plays, the sort of fundamentals and the pillars of what you want to build it off of. And so, with us, that's the power run, getting the ball downhill to Alex, getting the ball on the edge to Chat and Eli and things like that. And then once you sort of have that base, those pillars, you want to refine the details. You want to start chiseling the stone. So then it gets down to the motion timing. We want to make as many plays look identical as we can and get the defenses unsure where the ball is going, give us a second, to get it on the edge, get it up the middle wherever we want to get it. So I think that was the biggest thing once we had sort of learned everything. It's just the details, the timings, and that sort of thing.
I think the process was very smooth. We put in a lot of work and we did a lot of walkthroughs and went over the plays and stuff. And if you did make a mistake, Coach Cronic, he wasn't all over you. He was more like, don't make the same mistake. So I feel like that was pretty good in the process of learning the plays and installing the entirely new offense.
The thing I'd add is I feel like it does look really complex from the outside. I think there's a lot of moving parts, but from what Coach Cronick tried to do, I think he really tried to just make it simple to understand. And going from last year's offense to this year's offense, I feel like, with only spring ball and fall camp, under our belts, I feel like I have a really good understanding of the offense. And I know these guys would say the same thing.
So Blake, you had a 7 of 12 today, averaging, I think, 58%, and at a career high of 108. You threw an interception, and you had 2 touchdowns today. How would you feel like your performance was in helping the team get to this win?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing in the passing game is we want to be able to hit our throws and when we call them and different things. And so, I think we had a lot of good calls, and we had a good game plan going in, expecting what type of coverage and stuff. They did come out a different defense than what we expected, but still, their coverage was sort of what we expected. So I think, we didn't need to, try and throw the air out of the ball today, but when we did, I think we really wanted to affect them, whether it was, they were letting up the short passes a lot, honestly, and so whether it was just getting the ball to a guy like Chad or Eli and just letting them make a play, both of them did that. So I think that's the biggest thing is, sometimes just take our easy shots and not try and force it down the field, throw an interception.
And Chatman, I was wondering about that touchdown right before the half. What did it feel like catching the ball and then you just seeing the end zone? You gotta go. Like, what was going through your head during that time, during that pass?
I mean, when they initially called the play, like, I was just looking around and I told the lineman, I was like, yeah, this is my touchdown play. And then when I got the ball, it was more just second nature. We put in the work this off season and everything, and I was confident in my abilities and my strength and everything. So this is when they made a play.
So, Eli, I think the entire Navy fan base has been anxious to see what this offense is all about. Do you think today was a bit of a tease as to what this, because we haven't seen anywhere near the entire package, but there was quite a lot of variety. You saw drag routes to tight ends, you saw jet sweeps, screen passes, there were downfield passes. Do you think this was a teaser for what this offense is capable of, the potential it has?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the big thing, obviously, I think it starts up front. I think we pounded the ball today and we ran well. I think our line was physical and, they were a little agile too on those screens, but at the same time, I think we got the ball into a lot of playmakers' hands, and I think we did that in some pretty simple ways. And I can't predict the future, but I can say that we will be mixing it up a little bit and doing some more complex stuff. I feel like moving forward. So.
And it seems like this offense has a lot of potential for explosive plays.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I feel like that starts with the run. We're kind of softening up the defense a little bit, and then hitting it over top or going out wide and just kind of spreading the field. I think we have a lot of speed, a lot of physicality to do that too. So.
Temple's not Bucknell. What needs to change in the next 7 days?
Like you said, Temple is an AAC opponent, so we approach those in just a different mindset, I think, and I think the biggest thing is just the fundamentals, getting back to it, because when you look at our mistakes, some of those, aren't them making plays as much as it was us sort of blundering in a sense, and they weren't large blunders where it's so easy to see maybe on the edge, you're like, wow, that guy just totally whiffed the block. It was up front in some small areas that, just maybe a miscommunication here and there between a tight end and a lineman, and, they split us. And so that's the biggest thing is I think if we can get those really refined, it would, just allow us to sort of ground and pound and, just march down the field better.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, we just play Navy football, no matter who our opponent is. So go get in the lab and work and go attack it the same way. Doesn't matter if our opponent is better or worse. We're gonna play Navy football.
Well, Jaxson, you've waited a long time for this day. How good does it feel to go out there and really wreak some havoc? 10 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss. I mean, you made your presence felt.
Yeah, it feels great. Been really wanting to play. I'm so glad I got the first one out the way. I know there's a lot more meat on the bone. Definitely missed some tackles, but we'll get on the film and get that fixed. But it feels great being out with these guys.
Hey guys, just for any of you, congrats on the win. And going into next week, obviously new opponent. Where do you think the defense has to improve going into next week?
I think to start, we had a few, offside penalties that we can, eliminate. So I think just watching the ball, being disciplined, and just continue to work on our play calling, and where we need to fit in our defense. And I think that's a good place to start.
Hey guys, so as a whole, the defense did a really good job today with 77 tackles, 4 sacks, and you guys were really punishing and putting pressure, especially in the mid-half of the game. How would you feel like you need to keep this pressure up? What do you guys need to work on in order to make this a little bit better for next week against Temple?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Volker does a really good job of applying pressure to the offense, and we really like dialing up some blitzes from each side of the ball, the boundary in the field. But I would assume our game plan going in Temple will be something very similar, be aggressive, get them on their toes, but I'm looking forward to this upcoming week.
I think, just adding on to that, just continue to watch the film. That's something, you watch the film, you go back, you see the play calls that you like, you don't like, and we take out what we don't like, and we continue to get better at what we're good at. So.
And I'm excited. Like we're here, up here, we're our harshest critics. There's so much more meat on the bone, and we're just gonna keep getting in the lab and fixing those things.
So Landon, we heard all off season how the defense was the strength of this team. They had so much returning experience. That first drive, was that a shock to the system and kind of a wake-up call, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something like that is never, you don't want to see that happen to your defense. But I think it's important that we, bounce back, want-to-know mentality, and we got back out there and we did what we needed to do the rest of the game.
Luke, can you talk about wreaking some havoc in the backfield? I think you had a couple sacks, your tackles for loss.
Absolutely. I was put in a good position because the D-line was really doing a good job of owning their gaps and stuff like that. So it makes my job a lot easier when I'm able to come free sometimes. And I just had a good feel for the game today. So.
Well, it's Coach Newberry mentioned that losing contain several times. There was opportunity to get the quarterback in the backfield, and he's escaped. Got some big scramble yards. What do you have to do to fix that, both Landon and Luke?
Yeah, absolutely. As a D-line, we have to be on our points on the quarterback. We have to make sure, we have the cage, if you will, on the quarterback, sealed up so that, if he tries to escape here, we got a guy there. If he tries to escape there, we got a guy there. So I think just continuing to work on our cage of the quarterback is important.
Yeah, and I feel like you got to give credit to their quarterback. He was a slippery guy. He was a good player, so did a good job of just kind of evading tackles, and he was hard to get down on the ground. But we're going to definitely look at the film and figure out what we got to get better at, and I feel like we can always get better at attacking our points on the quarterback. So that's definitely going to be a huge thing going next week.
Anything else? Okay.
One last question. Not looking ahead too much, but Temple was a team that last year really kind of picked apart your defense. One of the few teams that really did. I think that Coach Newberry would say that was probably one of the low points for defense all season. How much are you looking forward to trying to get a little redemption next Saturday?
Definitely.
Circled.
Yeah, it's definitely been circled. They did a good job last year of doing some RPO stuff and like that, but we'll definitely look at the film and see what we got to fix from last year. There's a lot of it, and then we'll look at this week and figure out what we got to fix from this past game. So.
Absolutely, yeah. The improvement from week one to week 2 is very important. And like Luke said, we're going to watch the film from last year, what we didn't do well last year, and we're going to watch what we didn't do good this game, and we're going to continue to get better at it and improve to week 2.